we got some news to get to here, guys. The county commission is meeting in just about 45 minutes. And they're going to be talking a little bit about the situation with Hunter Conrad. Now, basically, at this point, they're just, correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, they're going to either agree or disagree that they're going to accept his resignation, or if they will officially say, well, we're going to fire him. Is that right?
I think it's more about how they're moving forward with the replacement.
Okay. So that'll be most of the focus. I know they all have to agree to accept the resignation, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be
right. I think that'll be
too much of a
right.
And it might be some discussion. I don't know how his contract is played out. If they accept it or if they fire him, if it's with cause, if there's some payout of that contract.
Yeah.
And that might be a factor of how that comes into play. But Hunter's no longer going to be our county commissioner.
Well, I think that's
sure.
Yeah.
I don't want people to think he has a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance? No,
he does
Christmas.
Not. He does not. So I think there's some discussion about how the contract and the completion of his contract come into play, and then how they're going to manage the replacement. Are they doing a nationwide search? Are they going to do a local? Or are they going to do interim for a little bit? I don't think they made any of those decisions concrete.
We would have to imagine it seems there are some indications out there that I believe Joy Andrews, is that her name?
Yes.
Maybe she's one of the deputy assistant.
Yeah, she was assistant county administrator.
I want to make sure I get that right. And she will likely take over in the interim for however much time that may be. Mm-hmm. But very interesting stuff coming out yesterday. The timing on some of the stuff coming out has been very, very interesting. And so we'll get through some of the story. We'll talk a little bit about it. But employee safety concerns, they're saying. A report came out yesterday saying that there were some employee safety concerns that led to St. Johns County's administrator being banned from the building.
Wow.
Banned from the building during the time where they were supposed to do his performance review, basically, which I found to be interesting timing.
Yeah.
The news channel says explosive emails, which they didn't cite at all, by the way, unfortunately, because I would have loved to see those, but those were not included in any article they published. But they say that explosive emails were found, shedding light on what they call a toxic government culture at St. Johns County. The former county administrator, Hunter Conrad, they say is at the center of that controversy. And, he will be terminated. Commissioner Sarah Arnold expressed concerns about workplace issues, which prompted a contentious commission meeting. They went back and forth a little bit. It was a little bit heated. They weren't necessarily yelling at each other, but you could definitely hear passion in both of their voices. They were both pretty fired up. Which led to Hunter resigning on June 29th, just before that performance review was supposed to take place. Numerous emails, they say, from current and former county employees revealed a troubling picture. This is how they're framing it. One anonymous email. How is this anonymous? If you've got all the emails, you know who sent the email.
Yeah.
It's not anonymous. I have lots of problems with this story, to be honest with you. Whatever you think about Hunter Conrad, this is a very suspicious situation. I will say that. So they say an anonymous email described Conrad as ruling by fear and favoritism, making it difficult to work under him. Now you're always going to have detractors, I think. If you are in any position of leadership, you're always going to have a faction of people who are not impressed with what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And this is not a defense of Hunter. I'm not here to come to Hunter's defense. I'm just saying, to me, the situation looks a little fishy, and the timing of a lot of this is interesting. But I'll get into that in a second. Former development director of economics, Melissa Glaslow, stated that in her 30 years of professional experience in government, she'd never been treated as disrespectfully as when Conrad was in charge. She cited his management style as causing chaos, staff stress, and burnout. Moreover, sources revealed, again, they're not naming these sources, which is always suspicious. I just don't like that. Let's get on record. The guy doesn't work for the county anymore. Let's get on record and and verify who this information is coming from. They say, moreover, sources revealed, quote, troubling behavior from Conrad on June 28th, leading to a decision to temporarily ban him from administration headquarters. Now, I got wind of this and we couldn't report on it because I couldn't confirm it. I went down to the sheriff's office. I was told that basically there may be a police report that was filed against Conrad. This turned out not to be true. But apparently the law did get involved to, if he was in fact banned from the building.
I mean, I can see him being banned because there's so much information that could be detrimental to the county. But I mean, when they say employee safety, that's
right.
I don't understand.
I gotta tell, yeah,
because I don't, you know, and I know Hunter peripherally. I mean, you know, we don't like hang out in the same crowds or anything.
Sure,
but I don't see him, you know, being violent.
Right, me neither.
You know, and it's making it sound like that. And
you
know, the fact that Miss Glasgow put her name on that's pretty damning.
Sure.
And I'll tell you this, like a couple years back, I interviewed for the old Parks and Recreation job.
Right.
You know, and I got all the way to the third interview where Hunter interviewed me, and he asked me a strange question. He didn't like my answer. But now that I think about it, he asked me, Troy, are you going to be able to, you know, stay within my rules and listen to me when it comes to Parks and Recreation? And I said, well, that was part of the problem last time. You know, I had the #1 park system, and the guy was telling me how to run my park system. I had the #3 amphitheater in the entire world. He was telling me how to run the amphitheater.
Okay.
I was like, you know, and he didn't like my answer. You know, so, but now that I think back about some of these things, I was like, that was kind of a strange question.
It kind of makes a little more sense to you now.
It was just a strange question. And you know, and it was almost like, am I going to be able to control you?
Yeah.
The answer would have been no.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The answer would have been no.
Well, would he technically have been the boss of Parks and Recreation?
Well, like, he would have been. He would have been my direct report, more than likely.
Right.
It might have been to one of the assistant county administrators, but you know, it's still there's only one line between those two.
Okay. Yeah.
As a director.
I like I said before, I do think the timing of this ban was very, very interesting from a political look, man, when people are playing political games, and this is purely speculation, but if I were somebody who was trying to get somebody out of politics, boy, this would be icing on the cake for his performance review. To have a police report out there, to have him banned from the building, that would be, that would almost guarantee that you'd have to fire him at the performance review. So I do think that timing is very, very interesting to ban him from the building. It also would have stopped him from being able to defend himself, from being able to state his case in this performance review if he was, of course, banned from the building. So I think the timing on that's interesting. Again, not coming to Hunter Conrad's defense, but it's.
I think it just leaves a lot to speculation. I mean, and like I said, I know him well enough to know. I mean, he's a father of I think he has 4 children. Yeah, and you know he's an attorney. He's going to be okay.
Yep.
But you know, it makes it sound like he threatened somebody or something like that. I just can't see. I can't see him.
I can't see
a little bit. I know. Of his personality. And what I've witnessed of his personality, I can't see that being.
But your definition of a threat could be different than all of these other people.
Yeah, look, we're talking about county government. We're talking about grown adults.
It sounds very House of Cards.
No, but it does sound very House of Cards. But I agree with you, Troy. I don't think there's anybody in that building that was scared of Hunter Conrad getting violent. I think this was purely a political thing, to be honest with you, and that's just my view of it from the outside, knowing how dirty St. Johns County politics can sometimes get.
Yeah, I think in this particular case, the politicians are the ones in the right. The elected officials are the ones in the right.
I'm not saying they're not,
but I mean, in this particular case, what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've witnessed, Sarah called out a situation that needed to be handled.
I agree.
And she handled it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I just think it looks like there were moves made to make sure that the firing happened. That's just me looking at it from the outside in. More troubling information. I guess troubling. The article calls this troubling, but we'll dive into it a little bit. The emails also indicated that there was a $2.4 million check that was meant to be deposited into an escrow account that just went missing, just completely disappeared.
Oh.
They say the fate of the check remains unclear. It was never cashed. Okay, so
cancel the check and rewrite it. And,
right.
Yeah,
it was never. This could just be as simple as an oversight.
That
Honestly,
I feel.
I think including this in the article.
I don't get that. I mean, just being in there. I mean,
right.
So
there's
so many checks and balances that are in place. I mean, and that was what part of the scary part of the amphitheater being under government is because things move so quick. It scared the bejesus out of everybody on how money was handled at the amphitheater.
Yeah.
A $2.4 million check, it's going to appear somewhere.
Yeah.
right. If somebody unscrupulously cashes that check, you're going to know immediately who cashed that check.
Yeah.
Their name's going to be on it. You can go to the bank.
Yeah.
Like if Hunter Conrad would have cashed this check, everybody would have known.
It wasn't like $26 in petty cash.
Right.
I mean, it was like $2.4 million.
He wasn't like skimming like a half a cent off of everyone's paycheck.
Right.
That one's one fishing for a story.
Yeah.
It is fishing for a story. That one's fishing, and that one's just, again, the timing on this article is very convenient for those who just want to make sure the guy is out of office. And again, I'm not saying he should stay in office, but it looks like there's a concerted effort to make sure he's not staying in office.
This is speculation too, but what happens after for him? Like, does he stay here or does he move to a different community?
No,
like,
I think he'll stay here.
I think he'll stay. Like I said, he has his law degree. He'll go back to probably practicing law, or maybe, I mean, he's a smart guy. He can create his own business in another way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any.
I mean, publicly, he's kind of being made as like, he has a fall from grace. I mean, obviously, this is what that article that you're reading, Pete, right now. It's
yeah. And
how do
they're
you
working
recover
hard
from
to
that?
paint that picture. They're working hard to paint that picture. Whoever wants him out of office is working hard to make sure he's out of office.
Definitely.
I pretty much. I mean, I resigned, but I mean, I was going to get fired. And I landed on my feet. I'm okay. I mean, it's
the thing about this stuff is people forget very, very quickly. Honestly, it's not going to.
And there was
whatever happened at the end of the day. What this boils down to is Hunter Conrad was not the perfect leader for St. Johns County. He did not lead in a way that St. Johns County felt comfortable with.
Everybody liked him, and I thought, I don't know.
I mean, there was all kinds of rumors when I left. I mean, my position was less visible than this position. Yeah. I mean, so, it's just, I feel kind of bad because some of these stories, probably 60-70% of the rumors that are out there may not be true, but the 40% is what got him fired.
That's what I mean. It's just it's such an imbrew on his name. It's like, give the man a second to be able to respond to all of it.
Yeah, I think he'll be all right.
I think he should probably take a step back. I think he probably shouldn't be in government at this point in time, but it does look like this is a hit piece, man.
Unless he did something I'm not seeing on the legal side, he'll be fine.
Right. And there's more to this, but whatever else pops up, we will definitely talk about it. But I just find some of the timing on some of this stuff very, very suspicious. That's all. Okay. I think we've torn that apart enough.
Yeah. Blake just said positive about my dad resigning. More family vacation.
There you go.
Yeah. So he is going to get to spend more time with the family.
Man. That's good. And I'm sure Hunter's family will love to see more of him, honestly.